Hey everyone, it's Victor here, and welcome back to the channel. And here we are drawing in pastel pencils one of my favorite characters, Michael Keaton version Batman. Now this one I had a lot of fun on. Now before I started this, I noticed my reference picture, of course, was his costume was mostly black. But I decided to change that and add a lot of blue tint to it because what that does is it makes it much more dynamic. It makes the colors much more interesting for the viewer when they're looking at it. I prefer using some other color choice other than black in a lot of my drawings. So I'm really happy how this came out. Plus, the original Batman has a blue costume, so it was really cool doing this really nice, almost metallic looking, vibrant, bright blues for Michael Keaton's new suit. And it could very well be a black costume in the actual painting, but it could have been a light source that had made it look blue. That's kind of how I look at it, because sometimes when you change the lighting, it can change the entire color of the picture. So I am working with some of my favorite pastel pencils, which are the Carbothello Stabilo Pastel Pencils, and I'm working on a dark gray Pastelmat paper. I also like to mix my pastels with other brands of pastels because I like using Caran d'Ache pastels. Those are an amazing pencil when you're laying the foundation of your piece because they have a large heavy pigment to them. So it's a very concentrated pigment. So when it goes into the paper, it really gets deep into it. So when you're blending on top of it, it doesn't wipe off. So make sure when you're using your pencils that you keep nice sharp tips, because by doing this you're able to tilt your pencil to the side and you're able to get broad strokes, and then when you tilt your pencil upward you can get nice detail for when you got a lot of detail work involved. So it works both ways, so always keep your pencils nice and sharp. Now with this costume I'm mostly doing basic blues, dark blues, mid-tone blues, and a little bit of a bright blue, well actually a lot of bright blue that has kind of like a turquoise tint to it. So it really makes the blues pop. Now in some of those darker areas, in order to get it more dark, I just use a black. So if you have a blue pencil and you need it even darker, just add black on top of it. And sometimes it may come out too black, so what you do is you just layer some more blue on top of that black. So you can go blue, black, and then blue again on top of that black, and that'll give you a nice, perfect dark blue. Now when I'm blending, I do like to use my blending stumps, or some would call them paper stumps. You can call them whatever you like, and these help to really blend your pastels and get nice smooth transitions between your gradients, like going from your darks to your midtones or your darks to your lights. Now this part was a little bit tricky because there's so much blue in this picture that I didn't want to make his skin too much of a warm tone. So I had to make sure that skin had a nice cool tone to it. So I don't think I hardly used any browns in the skin. I just used a flesh tone, and then I used a light off-white cream colored pencil for the highlights, and for the shadows I used sort of like a dark lavender type pencil. I don't know exactly what color it is, but you can see in the picture. I don't know the title of the color, but it's right there in the picture in the video. And there I am doing a little bit of pores on his chin, some other areas of his face to make it more look realistic. Now I'm adding some little details in his suit. And I make sure when you're using a white that you use it very sparingly. You don't want to put too much white in your drawing. So I used most of the white around the outside edges of his costume because that's where the light source is at. On this particular drawing, you've got a light source on the left side of him and on the right side. And there's a very calm down, relaxing light source in front of him, a soft light source. So you don't get too much harsh lighting in front, because I wanted to keep the strongest lighting on the left and right side of him. So here we are working more of the colors on his costume, and we're just using the same thing. I do use a lot of the Faber-Castell Pitt pastel pencils. I believe the Faber-Castell Pit Pastel has the best dark blue out of any pastel pencils, and I've pretty much used them all. So you're definitely going to want to pick up the dark blue in the Faber-Castell pencils. But if you really want to get serious in using these pastel pencils, I'd recommend just buying the whole set so you have all of the colors and you don't have to keep searching for them and hunting them down, because a lot of times a lot of the stores are out of certain colors and you got to wait for them to get them back in stock. So I always buy all the colors at once. Now I do prefer pastel pencils over colored pencils because they're much easier to work with. They are way easier to blend. And this is for this reason is because colored pencils are made of a hard wax, and that wax, it takes a lot of effort to blend. It's putting a lot of strain on the wrist. I've tried colored pencils and my wrist gets tired after just an hour and I can hardly even draw anymore. But see how when you're using pastel pencils, they're nice and soft, so they blend like butter. It goes on the paper like smooth velvet. They're just amazing. But you got to make sure you're using the proper paper and the proper pencils. So that's why I always recommend Pastelmat by Claire Fontaine. You'll see the details in the description below. And I list what pencils I use. Of course, I'm using a combination of Caran d'Ache, Stabilo Pastel, and Pit Pastel pencils. But the majority of my work is done with the Stabilo pencils because I can get nice sharp tips on those. Now with the other pencils, you can't use pencil sharpeners with them. You got to hand sand them, or you got to use an electric sander, or you got to carve them with the razor blade and tape a piece of sandpaper to your desk and rub it horizontally to get some, a chiseled tip on it. Because the leads are so soft that they break in pencil sharpeners. But the Stabilo, I have pretty good luck with those using them in the pencil sharpener. That's another reason why I prefer them. So you can see as I'm working a lot of the costume, I lay down my base blue first, and then I start adding highlights and dark tones on top of that. Sometimes I'll go highlights first, and sometimes I'll go the dark tones first. See, with pastel pencils, you can do whatever you're more comfortable with, whatever you like. And there I am adding the blue on top of the black to smooth it out. If you caught that, it's pretty quick in this video. Now we're just working our way along his costume, heading on to the right side. I'll be getting towards his insignia on his chest pretty soon. And we're just doing some of our line work. As you can see, I've laid the line work already with the pencil. I use a mechanical pencil. A 3mm Pentel mechanical pencil is what I use to draw in the initial drawing. And those highlights you see, some of the whites, those are done with the Stabilo white pencil. And I do that in the beginning stages before I even start coloring, because it helps give me a guide to where I need to add those highlights. It's a lot easier that way. And there I am adding some depth to his chest, and we're getting started on his insignia. Just going straight black, then doing